Hi, everybody, and welcome to another chapter of the JSA Spotlight Sit-Down Series. I'm Jon Sheppard. Joining me today is Rob Levin, chairman of WorkBetterNow, a fantastic firm that provides virtual support and offshore support from people in Latin America to U.S. small and medium-sized businesses. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jon.
Oh, my pleasure.
Looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation. You know, we've talked offline about a lot of different things that our businesses intersect on. But why don't we start by telling people out there a little bit about you and a little bit about WorkBetterNow.
Sure. So I'll give the quick version on me professionally. I started my career as an accountant with one of the big firms many years ago. Which, by the way, was a great place to start a career because they teach you how to be a professional.
Yeah, really you had way too much personality for that. So
well, I've made it 4 years. Yeah. And then I ran a few businesses as a CFO, COO, CEO. And that the last company was just a mess. There was like fraud going on and the board wanted to keep it going on. And I left and I said, that's it. I'm never working for anybody again. And this is around the beginning of 2003, and I started a magazine and a media company called the New York Enterprise Report, which served business owners. And it was really cool in that we had a readership of 100,000. We had national brands as event sponsors and advertisers. And what was really cool is I got to meet so many entrepreneurs, both the really well-known ones like the Danny Meyers and a couple of people from Shark Tank, you know, to the business owners that were reading the magazine. And I just love that world of business owners. That's my thing. I sold that. It was a small transaction about 2013, 2014. And I kept a part of the business that helped large companies market to small businesses. And that was pretty successful for a while. And then one day I woke up and I said, you know what? I really don't like working with large companies. It's bureaucratic and political, and I want nothing to do with that. I want to just stick to small and mid-sized businesses. And that was around the time that my partner and I decided to start WorkBetterNow, 2018, 2019, where we provide high-performing talent for that work remotely out of their homes from Latin America for small and mid-sized businesses. And it's been, it was a slow start. And then the pandemic just had us taken off like a rocket ship.
Yeah, great time to do it, really at the forefront of it. I'm not surprised to hear the story because you're a very entrepreneurial guy. And us small and medium-sized business owners, we love that stuff. That's kind of what we feed on. And, when we have an opportunity and an idea, really want to take it to the nth degree. And one of the things I've come to learn about you is you've taken this model to really the high point. One of the taglines that Rob uses all the time is, if you don't have an assistant, you are an assistant. And it sticks in your head. And really all of his people are really moving small and medium-sized businesses down the road. Talk to us a little bit about the skill sets of some of these individuals, because I think it'll be surprising to some of our viewers.
Yeah. First of all, I borrowed that quote from Jack Daly, so I want to make sure I'm giving props to Jack there. Because when we started the company, we were just providing, talking about the roles that we do. When we started, it was just assistants for business owners. And our motto was, every business owner should have an assistant. And I like Jack's quote because it really hits home. If you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. We then expanded, and actually our clients really, one particular client led the expansion because I wasn't involved in I'm not really too involved in the day-to-day. And then one day I'm looking at a report and there's a client of ours who's a friend of mine and he's hiring his 5th assistant. And I called him up. I said, hey man, like, how many assistants do you need? I know business is
good. How many do you have and how many do you need?
So he goes, no, Rob, that's not, he goes, they're not assistants. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, that first one, she was great at marketing. So I put her in a marketing role, and then she helped me hire the second one. Turns out she is now doing inside sales, bringing in, I think at the time it was like $60,000 a month.
There you go.
And then a light bulb went off in my head. And within 2 weeks, we just expanded the business. Instead of just providing assistance to business owners, we now provide WorkBetterNow certified professionals in 5 categories. Sales, so anything from inside sales to sales coordinator. We hired one a few months ago, game changer for us. marketing,
Mhm.
admin, that includes executive assistants, finance and bookkeeping, and then customer service, those 5 categories. And really think about them as between entry level and managerial, even though some of them are in managerial roles at our clients, they work their way up, which is pretty cool to see too.
Yeah, it's really amazing how motivated those individuals are to become more, and you learn it from a friend of yours who's utilizing one of them to the nth degree, and now that individual's bringing 60,000 a month in revenue to the firm instead of being an expense line item.
That's right.
And that's, to me, that's the transformative thing about Work Better Now, that it can do stuff like that. And as you and I have probably known each other a little under 10 years now, and what I find is there's always the next layer. There's always the next level of service. There's always the next idea. And that's really where the marketplace is going internationally. So what I'll ask you next is, what are you seeing here in the market that you're serving here? And I know you guys service other markets besides New York, but what are some of the things you're seeing?
Well, across the country, as you know, there's a talent crisis.
Sure.
And just looking purely on demographic information, and by the way, I noticed this 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, I came across a demographic report, and I don't remember the specifics, but so 10 years ago, 2015, it said in 2030, there's going to be so many people leaving the workforce and far fewer people coming in. And that was that just stuck in the back of my mind. That was before I started the company. And the talent crisis is now real.
100%.
You can look at whatever data you want. You ask any business owner compared to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, how hard it is to find really good, hardworking talent, and it's really hard to find. So where the marketplace is today is interesting. We're getting to this inflection point where small and mid-sized businesses hiring offshore talent is no longer becoming the exception, but it's on its way of becoming the norm.
I'm not surprised by that. As a lot of people know, I live in the law firm space and I place mostly attorneys. And even in that regard, with the silver tsunami coming in 2027, where the boomers are all retiring out, it's adding more to that lack of talent circumstance that's going on. And it filters down through the people that you guys utilize and place, and it goes to every job in America and around the world. It's just a different time now. People are using people differently, and like you said, it's becoming the norm for small to medium-sized businesses because they have to react in that way, and they're getting higher caliber work done at less cost.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, this job's being offshored. No, this job is being done better. That's
right.
What's going
and
on.
That's part of what we educate people on when they do a consult with us. If they haven't heard that, most of our business comes from referrals, so they may have heard it from whoever referred them to us. But what we're really starting to see is people going, yeah, it's great that I could save money. I just need, I have 30 people in my company. I need everybody working hard and contributing. I can't have any of these, pardon the expression, I didn't come up with it, these lazy girl jobs, where people are doing the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. And that might work in a large company or in government, but it doesn't work in a smaller mid-sized business. And I think a lot of owners, unfortunately, have just said they've kind of gotten they just don't think there's an alternative out there until they hear about companies like us, and they just settle for C players. You can't have C players because C players will drive the A players out of your company.
Yeah, 100%. And your A players will attract other A players. Right. And people that have a positive experience will attract others. I joke with people all the time, either you're part of the solution or you're just in the way.
Right.
And that's kind of what's going on in your world. There are a lot of people stepping up in your ranks that are like, I want to be a part of things. I want to have an impact on a small to medium-sized business that I'm going to go to work for, and I could be 1,000 miles away, and it doesn't matter.
You know what? I want to just go off on a slight tangent because you just triggered something for me. So right now, for every job opening, there's almost one unemployed person looking for work, okay? And that cascades throughout the workforce. But I want you to think about this. About 15 years ago, that number was 3 to 1. In other words, there were 3 unemployed people for every one job opening. And again, all of that cascades. And some business owners are still of the mindset of, hey, I'm the employer, I'm in the driver's seat. That is bullshit.
Yep,
that
100%.
And you got to be thinking, how do you market your company to candidates? Another thing I said when I read that statistic 10 years ago is I said, the competition for talent is going to be greater than the competition for customers.
100%, 100%.
And that's totally happening now. How do you position yourself? And we have a ton of content on our site at WorkBetterNow.com that talks about how do you position yourself. That's everything from having a compelling mission, right, and values that attract people.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, passion, right? The passion of the most senior executives all the way down through the ranks. I had a circumstance a few years ago where I was placing a partner on a cyber practice at a firm, and the firm ended up losing out on the candidate. And the managing partner of the firm said to me, "What do you think our big mistake was?" And I'm like, "That's easy. You shook his hand, but you didn't wrap your arms around him. You make him feel like you wanted him to be part of the success here at the firm." And that's what you're talking about. You want to bring people in, get them excited. You want to micro-target every individual.
When I was at Anderson, this is in the early 90s, when I remember when I interviewed, and I interviewed with a manager and a partner. I came down from school my senior year, and I think it was the manager who told me that the highest priority in the firm are those interviews. Meaning, a client call comes in a minute before the interview, that client's got to wait, even if the building's burning down. That never ever left me. That was a company doing this over 30 years ago.
That's I had somebody leave my employ. It was probably 15 years ago, and they said, you may find a company that'll treat you as well as we did, but you'll never find a company that treats you better. And they said, you know what, you're right. I'm going for the money. And they were unhappy, and then in some time actually reached out to me and came back. But at the end of the day, if you have that kind of culture, and you guys have built that culture across, the Gulf of America down into Central America, it's really interesting to see how that culture permeates everything you guys do. I hear it from you all the time, and it's amazing how your people are engaged. How do you keep them that engaged from afar?
Well, so let's break this up into two groups. There's the WBN team. That's about, 45 people, 75 or so percent of them in Latin America. And then there's the almost now 500 WBN certified professionals working for our clients. So let's first talk about the WBN team. So first of all, we hire based on many things, including values, right? We have 6 values, and we try to really get a sense to what degree you're going to fit in with those 6 values are values that you just naturally come to you anyway, right? And then just accelerating a little bit, when we have to fire, we fire based on those 6 values. But we also recognize people based on those 6 values. We have something called the W Awards, and again, blog on our site and how we do it. This thing costs us $100 a week, this program. It's our recognition program. And again, we're recognizing people in front of their peers based on one or more of the 6 values.
And what are the 6 values?
I knew you were going to ask, so I jotted them down. I hope you don't mind me reading them.
Not at all.
First one is, and this one we literally came up with when we started the company, which was we're going to put our talent first. And everything else kind of followed from that. The next one was work with integrity and transparency, ownership mentality, work with an ownership mentality, have a growth mindset, work with an excellent attitude, and always pursue excellence.
Always. And those are creating some trends in the market and other types of things that are going on out there. These are great core values. So what are some of the trends that you're seeing?
First and foremost, we're starting to see that small and mid-sized businesses hiring offshore talent is no longer this weird, crazy exception.
Right.
It's slowly becoming the norm. It's not, when I mention it to people, I don't get like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I usually get now like, well, I don't know if I'm ready yet, but I'm thinking of getting there, or tell me more.
Yeah, the paradigm is shifting.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. And why is that? Well, we talked earlier how there is a talent crisis, right? And it's just hard to find great people here. It's a demographic issue, right? And there's just not enough people. And there's a great workforce outside of the US that has great attitude, experience, and fantastic English skills too. So obviously we're very happy about that. We're poised to capitalize on that. And we're actually happy for the marketplace, because now there's an opportunity for business owners to say, you know what, I'm just going to have a team of all A players. It doesn't matter where they're from.
Yeah, and we can compete, at a higher level.
Yeah. The second one is business owners are starting to understand that the talent game has changed. And this is why I'm working on a book called The New Talent Playbook, because the talent game has changed in 5 years, let alone it's changed tremendously compared to 10 or 15 years ago. It's no longer the company doesn't have any type of advantage or anything like that. If anything, you can probably argue that the tables have turned and things are going to come to some new equilibrium. And there's a lot of things that companies need to do differently. How you retain talent, how you attract talent has changed. AI is playing a part in this. And of course, offshore is a part of this as well. And then the other trend that I'm also really happy to see is this trend of upskilling, right? So when it comes to upskilling, what is that? That is basically just providing training to either a new or an existing employee. That training can be internal or it could be external. And there's so many options now for external training that you can literally do on your phone. And I want business owners to think about this from this amazing perspective, which is the pace of change in business is accelerating. And it's
so fast.
Lightning speed, ludicrous speed, whatever you want to call it. And what success in business really comes down to harnessing that change, which is an easy way of saying a lot of things need to happen. One of the things that need to happen is you need to bring new capabilities into your company.
Yes, and new enthusiasm for those capabilities.
Yes. So upskilling is a win-win proposition. On the one hand, you have the employee I'll get to the new employee and upskilling in a second. Let's say an existing employee who wants promotion opportunities. They want to be upwardly mobile in your company. And you, on the other hand, you need these new capabilities. Well, here comes upskilling to the rescue. Right. So let's just say AI is the thing you need the new capability on. Upskill some of your current employees, get them involved in courses. There's courses that are free, low cost. There's no excuse anymore. Let them do it on company time. And say, look, my desire now is that you're going to go through this course and you're going to be able to introduce AI or bring AI into these departments in the company, whatever that might look like. And when you do that well, you're going to get a promotion.
Yeah, right? And you're empowering those employees to really engage. And they'll end up staying with you. One of the things we talked about earlier was a retention rate of 60% at companies that, give people an upwardly mobile track. It's all part of that. So you're empowering people with upscaling and you're increasing the value of the firm that you work for by doing it. One of the things I talk about is role reversal, role play, letting the youngins tell the oldins what to do. And if you bring in something like AI or Salesforce into your company and the younger employees pick it up, well, they can teach the older employees. Everybody is empowered, and then you can all move along together.
I'll take that a step further, John. So when ChatGPT came out, like late 2022, I right away I said this is gonna really impact our business positively or negatively, depending on how we react to it. That was the first realization. The second realization is, as the old guy in the company, I'm not going to be the guy who's going to be figuring this out.
Right.
So I literally, and I won't bore you with all the details, there's a blog on our website on it, but we empowered our leadership team and then the entire company. And I think they're pretty sure they're all younger than my partner and I. And we empowered them to start experimenting with AI and then share what you're finding. And now we're using AI throughout the company. And we now have, it's been part of the company culture now where people are looking forward to change. Imagine that, right? Not running away from it.
Yeah, you've humanized AI,
in
the minds of the people in the company because they're all in on it. And they say, well, I had one more idea that nobody else thought of. Yeah, now we recognize you for that. We empower you to do more and we'll promote you as well.
Yeah.
So,
and I want to just touch upon one more thing with upskilling when it comes to new hires. Two candidates, right? Candidate A checks 7 out of your 10 requirement boxes. Great cultural fit. Candidate B checks all 10, but not a great fit. Who do you hire?
Right. 7 out of 10.
You're going to take that
every
A
time.
Because you can upskill them on those other 3 boxes. Yeah, maybe it'll take a couple weeks or even a month, but that attitude fit is everything.
Attitude fit, cultural fit, all of it.
And now you have somebody who's grateful because you train them on something new, whatever it might be. I see job requirements that are just so out of whack these days, and I think companies have to be a lot more practical. Stop focusing on the education and stuff like that, and focusing on what's important.
Yeah, I had a law firm client of mine a while back said, we're not interviewing any more 4.0s. We want to know that they had interpersonal skills, that they were able to develop relationships. And that may not be that 10 out of 10 person. It may be that 7 out of 10 person who's going to end up managing a room full of 10 of 10.
That's right. And be the rainmaker. Yeah. And know how to deal with conflict and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, as always, a very stimulating conversation with you, my friend. How can people find you and get started with Work Better Now?
Yeah, workbetternow.com. By the way, there's a ton of resources there on assistance for business owners and going offshore, and it's a ton of resources. And of course, if you're ready to hire offshore and we can help you, we're ready to do that. You can find me on LinkedIn, Rob Levin, Work Better Now. Just Google that, and I will show up in the LinkedIn results for sure. And then, as you know, I launched a podcast recently because you were the first guest. That was such a great episode. What a way to kick it off. And the podcast is called Great Talent, Great Business, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as YouTube.
Couldn't have been more appropriately named. Great Talent, Great Business, great guy. Rob Levin, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.